It's a movie, but at the same time, it also feels like a bit of an experiment of, could we try this?
Ooh, that's a hot mug, guy.
Directed by Alex Garland, but it's also co-directed by Ray Mendoza, who is recounting the events of a firefight that him and his squad went through back in 2006 during the Iraq War. The story is basically just from memory. The idea of when I'm watching military films, like respectful, well done, attempting to be accurate. But for this one, it's very much the in the end moments. To be truthful, this movie is pretty much just one gunfight. 20 minutes of the beginning of the film with them going to the house that they stack up with, as well as a few other Navy SEALs and a few different buildings that are in this area. The morning, first 20 so minutes of slowly getting to know the crew, but you're not having unrealistic conversations. This isn't people like asking about previous things. They are doing what they need to do. Checking radio, checking comms, checking data, checking positions, reconfirming, nodding down, because they know they are in a hostile area, but it is not a conventional one, which is the kind of the antithesis of what the entire Iraq War and Afghanistan war is. Regardless of how you feel about the wars themselves, I can at least attempt to understand how terrifying it must have been all of the time. There's a lot of movies that have been made by the Iraq War and everything in the last while, and some of them have been very mid, but the ones that are good can tap into this very element that I'm talking about. Why The Hurt Locker is so good, amongst other things too. That's also a very well-written narrative story. That's only even really the beginning of the fear and the tension that's happening in this movie, because once the gunfight starts, if I were to take a guess, happens at about maybe the 40 to 50 minute mark, it is then nothing but that for the next hour. The pacing in this film is superb. People who enjoy this attempt at level of authenticity of a single situation, not a narrative, multi-day, multi-hour even. This is one gunfight. The attention to detail is phenomenal. This movie doesn't really want to hold your hand because it's not doing so for any of the characters. There is an incident that happens and things go from to shit very, very quickly. You feel the frustration, the anger, the fear, the complete clusterfuck concussion that they probably got going on from some of the shakes they're taking. There's a part in the trailer that when I saw it did make me go a little bit like, is that being a little corny?
Has anyone looked at you? I'm fucked up.
When this part happens in the movie, it is deserved. His team is fucked up. Not only is this well portrayed through the performances, but also the sound design. This is nuts good. You're feeling them move along the ground, putting their helmets back on, feeling the situation materialize in front of them. A+ to the Foley artists, because they really went to town with this, the altering. The level of detail to the sound design, to me, is on level with Sounds of Metal almost. And that movie is probably one of the best ones I've heard. Now remember, this is a co-directed movie with Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. When I found out that Ray Mendoza was the person responsible for the intense sequence at the end of the Civil War with the attack on Washington, yeah, it made sense that he would probably be a good pick to do this. I feel like you can feel when certain shots are audience, kind of a cinematic view, and then there are shots that attempting to put yourself in the place of the soldiers. It's going to be an interesting kind of handshake of cinema and experience and reality put together, simulated reality. I feel like Warfare really commits to it and it sticks with it. When it did finally come to an end, I was like, oh, wow, that doesn't feel like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but I have to imagine that is what happened all the time. These minor, intense skirmishes. And when the end of the film comes, you're kind of going back and forth like, oh, that was all that was. Earlier I said, I feel like it's a bit of an experiment. I feel like it was an attempt at trying to show something different. Steven Soderbergh will do this. He shot an entire movie on an iPhone, and then he just did one recently where it was from the perspective of a ghost. So when you do something as simple as this and as well as this, it's appreciated. I'm kind of curious about the budget. Essentially 1 to 2 locations the entire movie. That's pretty good. But obviously the main detractor for this, and it's not really against the movie, it's really against for people who would not be a fan of this, it isn't a story. It is a retelling of a moment. It doesn't really have a conclusion. You see some of the soldiers in the credits. That's not the point. The point isn't to talk about the end of the story. It is to show this one moment in time. Gotta give Warfare credit for that. I'm gonna give Warfare a 6 out of 7. Really enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of my highlights of the year. It won't be the main movie of the year. There are a few other films coming out this year that would have the narrative aspect that I would have liked, but understood why it wasn't in this film as I would like it to be. But those are my thoughts. Curious as to what you guys felt about it. Did you guys enjoy it? Do you get where I'm coming from with the experiment thing? I wonder if I made sense with that. But that's what it felt like. It felt like something they would try, and if it works, maybe they would try it again. But really, I don't know if you could get something like this to be done again. I don't know if Garland would do it. Then again, Garland also said he wasn't going to really direct anything again after Civil War. So he did this.